Hi everyone, I'm Rincey and this is Rincey Reads. Today I'm going to be doing a Project 10 update. Now for those of you guys who aren't aware, Project 10 is this thing that Jenny from Adultish Books started doing last year where she resolved not to buy any books until she read 10 books in her stack. So I decided to make this part of my New Year's resolutions and do a Project 10 for myself to help myself reduce my TBR a little bit. And so I'm here to say that I have finished my Project 10. I read my 10 books. And so I'm going to talk about those 10 books really quickly because I've talked about them in other videos, so I don't need to really rehash it. And then talk about the book that I did purchase, which you may already be aware of if you watched my book haul. And then kind of just talk about how these things will be continuing as we go forward. So the books that I read in no order whatsoever except for the order that they are currently sitting on my lap are State of Wonder by Ann Patchett, We Are All Completely Beside Ourselves by Karen Joy Fowler, Mr. Fox by Helen Oyeyemi, Sweethearts by Sarah Zarr, X by Elisha Shabazz, Vivian Apple at the End of the World by Katie Coyle, Long Division by Kisei Lemon, March books 1 and 2, which yes, I did count as 2 separate books, and I think that justifies it since I also read The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. And then since I read all of those books, I ended up picking up Purple Hibiscus by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I picked this up before I finished my 10 books, but I decided that a $3 version of this book was too good of a deal to pass up, so I bought it knowing that I would finish Project 10 at the end of this month, or at least that's what was estimated, so I figured it was worth it. So yeah, I actually really kind of liked doing Project 10. It motivated me to read the books that are on my TBR, and then anytime I would sort of have like an itching for something that wasn't on my TBR, I would actually just use my library. So all of the library books that I've read this year don't count towards my Project TBR, obviously. And then what I've been doing is if I really like one of the books that I read that's from the library, I end up writing it down in this little notebook that I keep at my desk. So I've been writing down all of my favorite books of the years, books that I would want to own in physical form. So these books that I purchase are not going to be counted in sort of like my Project 10 thing. Project 10, I'm specifically going to use that every 10 books that I finish, I get to buy one new book that I haven't read before. So these books don't add to my unread pile, but I also want to be wise in the way that I'm using my money this year. So what I'm going to be doing is that every time I get a payment from Book Depository from the affiliate links that I have in the description, I'm going to use that money to buy more books. So basically, to break it down, Project 10, I read 10 books, I get to buy one new unread book. And then in terms of library books, those don't count towards Project 10, but if I like them enough, I'll write them down in my notebook. Now, I get paid from Book Depository like every 3 to 6 months, depending on how much you guys use my affiliate link. And this is not me saying that you guys should definitely use my affiliate link or don't use my affiliate link. Like, that is completely up to you. And I'm very much grateful to everyone who does use it. But I don't get very much per sale. It's like, 10 cents or something per sale depending on what you guys end up purchasing. So by the time that I get enough for them to give me a payment, it's usually every 3 to 6 months. So I'm going to use that money, and then whenever I get that payment, I'm basically just going to go through this list, see which books I can afford to buy, and sort of like see how I feel about them after it's been like, a couple of months since I've read them. So that way I'm not just buying books because I'm really hyped about them. I'm actually like weighing the pros and cons of owning that book and spending money on that book, and I'm taking time to see how I feel about that book in time, because I know that for me, I buy a lot of books that I end up just giving away after I read them because I didn't really like them all that much, or even if I did like them at the time, over the course of the year I might realize that I really don't want to own a copy of it, things like that. So I'm just trying to be wiser with my purchases. I'm definitely not going to stop buying books because I love books, but I think it's just being more wise about how I use my money, things like that. So that's just how things are going to be going. I know some of you guys are doing similar things like read 5 before I buy, 0 by 16, all of those things. So if you guys are participating in this sort of lowering your TBR number project, feel free to leave a comment down below letting me know how you guys are doing so far this year. I think it's always fun to do little updates throughout the year because one, you get to, talk about how you're doing, but also you get to sort of reevaluate things, see what's working, what's not working, and also just making sure that you stay on track throughout the year and achieve the goals that you want. So yeah, that's all I have for now. Thanks for watching.